It's not too often in these cases that we look at that we meet a woman, a mother, that conjures up such a feeling of disgust in our stomachs, so much anger running through our veins that there's really no words to even describe it. But today's lovely lady seems to have captured all of those horrifying feelings into one thing. She conjures up a level of bile, and a whole lot of not smiles into one horrifying persona of a human being. And who might that be, you might be asking? Well, hold on a damn minute and I'll tell you, just settle down. Today's case that we are going to be discussing is the one, the only, the infamous DIANE Downs. Welcome on back to the sofa, y'all. That's the damn sofa with my damn sassy sidekick, Mr. Roscoe, and my damn name's Paul if you're new around here. Now, I want to thank everybody who makes the Sofa Squad possible to be at. Y'all, it wouldn't be possible without you. I wouldn't be able to make the content that I do. I really, really appreciate it, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of Roscoe's heart, and also from the bottom of the seat cushions over there, too. I also want to thank today's sponsor for making this video and this channel possible. Y'all go on, make some room on the sofa, go on, scooch over a little bit, and y'all, let's welcome back again this month, Fuzzy. Y'all, let's welcome Fuzzy back to the sofa. Y'all know I love coming home to our Sofa Squad mascot, Mr. Roscoe, and if you have a pet, you know that they're part of your family too, and Fuzzy understands that as well. They know that we want to keep our pets healthy and bring them as much happiness as they bring us. Fuzzy is a telehealth service for pet parents that offers 24/7 access to personalized pet care from veterinary professionals. Y'all, whether it's everyday questions to the middle of the night emergencies, Fuzzy is going to have the answers for pet parents like us that we need. And my favorite aspect of Fuzzy, I am telling y'all, is the live chat and virtual vet consultations. Y'all, they are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fuzzy can answer your pet questions, big or small, urgent, every day. Y'all already know, with the holidays coming up, July 4th especially, I was on it with Fuzzy and their live chat thing to find out about anxiety stuff and all that kind of thing, because over here at our household, it gets like out of control with our dogs and the fireworks and all that kind of stuff, and they did not disappoint. Now, Fuzzy can also recommend the exact right products for your pet, all of which are going to be handpicked by their established team of veterinary professionals and available at discounts exclusive to Fuzzy members. I've also really enjoyed sitting there and scrolling through all the different articles, all the different little learning things that they have on there that are tailored to Roscoe and his needs, his age, his breed. I have learned so much about Roscoe and Chihuahuas. I am absolutely loving that dynamic of this. Right now, Fuzzy is offering my subscribers a free 7-day trial membership. Go to yourfuzzy.com/reportinglivefromMySofa today to sign up. That's a free 7-day trial and access to exclusive member discounts on pet meds, supplements, food, and more at yourfuzzy.com/reportinglivefromMySofa. Again, yourfuzzy.com/reportinglivefromMySofa for your free trial of Fuzzy with access to 24/7 personalized pet care and well-recommended products. All right, y'all, so again, be sure and check that out. All the descriptions are down below. Now, Roscoe, we might need to download Fuzzy over this video today. You gonna be okay if we need to call up Fuzzy or something?
See, we'll see, Dad, but we might need to.
Well, okay, we'll check in with him later, see if we need to do any of that. Now, what we're going to be doing today, like I said, is we're going to be discussing DIANE Downs. Now, what I did is this. First of all, this has been a case that since I've started the channel, people have asked me about to do and whatnot. We started to do the book of the book club many moons ago. And so recently, like, you know, I've been looking at different videos, all that kind of stuff. And no matter how many times I've seen these videos, I get sucked into them, right? So I came to the Sofa Squad in the community post and I was like, do y'all want to see me talk about this? And pretty much y'all kind of came back with what I thought, like, yes, I want to see this, you know. And I asked specific clips and there was some general, you know, feedback that we're going to try and do today with that. Here's how we're going to do this differently. Like, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll either go read a book or do this or that or whatever. This case, y'all, this is an older case. Our queen, Anne Rule, did this one, y'all. it has been done a lot, right? So what I wanted to do is mostly focus on some clips of videos, essentially allowing the clips to tell the story. Now I will give a very quick, you know, sofa sidebar, what, in case for those who are new here, like the quick 2-cent version of the story, right, before we get into it. But what I want to focus on is the absolute insanity of Diane Downs, of the narcissism, of the harm that she inflicted upon her poor children, right? One thing that shocked anyone who watches these videos is her absolute callousness, right? Now, also, one thing that I did notice, for me at least, the whole Oprah thing that she did when she was on Oprah's, either I forgot about that, but that was like new to me. And the whole time, literally, I'm like this, I'm like, I mean, I was like, what? Ann Roll on the show with Oprah interviewing Diane Downs of the television? Please, we have to talk about this. So there's gonna be a lot of clips from that. Anyway, so that's it. So that's how we're gonna do this video. It very well could be a multi-part, because you'll know how these end up going really long. So we're just gonna see how it goes. Anyways, if you like it, you like the style, whatever, and this is kind of how you want to hear the story, because a lot of you are like, look, the story's kind of been told a lot, and I agree. I don't want to sit here and even try and attempt to do some like, let me retell the deep dive on here, because it's been done, right? I get it. But nonetheless, we have to talk about it here at the sofa, because you just have to talk about Diane Downs, right? Anyways, that's it. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. So very quickly, Diane Downs in 1983 literally shook the world. She lived in Oregon. She had 3 children, and we're going to go over the story more in depth and whatnot, but she basically said to the world, you know what? I took my 3 children out, a sightseeing in the evening time, was driving down the road. A bushy-haired man flagged us down. I stopped, got out of the car to help him. He proceeds to shoot my children and shoot me in the arm. And so I jump in the car and drive them to the hospital. One of them is pronounced dead. One of them has a heart attack or stroke. She will take months to recover, mentally, physically, all this stuff. One of them is paralyzed from the waist down. Those 2 will survive. One of them will end up testifying against Diane Downs, because the truth of the matter is that Diane drove along the road, stopped, got out, shot her children, then very slowly drove to the hospital, waiting for them to bleed out. And she did this all over a man, because the children were going to be in the way. Oftentimes when we see women who do this to their children, a lot of times it is over a man who is like, you know what, the kids, I don't want the responsibility, whatever the reasoning might be, right? This was a Diane Downs thing, but trust me, she had a lot else going on, right? I mean, it's just like a whole bunch else. So that's obviously horrible enough, right? But as she starts doing these interviews and just bizarre things that you're like, what? While all this is going on, this is where the public just started learning this other side to her. Not really the other side, who the real Diane was. That just had us all shocked, and the world shocked, because it was so clear to us how absolutely unhinged this woman was, right? So that is like the story in, you know, literal a couple of sentences. Ann Rule did an amazing book on this. Many people have done books on it, but I highly suggest the Ann Rule book on it. And again, there's tons of videos out there on deep dives of it. She's fascinating. If you're into the psychology aspect of this, very fascinating. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of the clips that will start telling the story, and we're going to just kind of piece it together and then obviously make some commentary on it.
We asked Diane if she'd do a reenactment for us.
Now, the reenactment that he speaks of is one of the clips y'all asked me to talk about and whatnot, one of the most famous clips of this case. And of course, this is when she starts telling the story about, you know, stopping for the man and whatnot. This doesn't make sense, right? And so she does this, and this is where literally anybody who watches this is like, who is this woman? She is absolutely insane. And so this becomes clear to everybody except for Diane.
We simply wanted to nail down her statements, and she was more than happy to do that.
Sitting in the car is Elizabeth Diane Downs.
She can be seen sitting in the car, and she's kind of primping, making sure that her hair looked the way she wanted it.
Now, this is the thing. So remember, this is someone who has just been brutally attacked. one of her children is dead, one of her children is paralyzed, one of her children's in ICU. Horrible things going on, right? She is in the driver's seat reenacting this horrifying thing that just happened. She is doing her hair. She is doing all this. And I mean, this is where anybody with a right brain is like, what? I mean, what are you kidding? Like, how did she even get through life? Like, she's so crazy that I'm like, how did she even, like, live to be this old, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is she even still alive, like, to this day, right? But how did she even reproduce and get to this point in life to even be able to be here? Like, people just usually don't survive that are this insane.
I'm throwing the keys, okay? I'm throwing the keys.
So they can understand.
Look at how she's sitting here laughing and joking. She loves the attention. And this is, again, the psychology part of this. She absolutely loves the attention, even though it's talking about an event that is getting ready to happen. She's describing pretending to throw the keys for an assailant who's just shot her children, and she's giggling over this and laughing, lapping it up like a thirsty dog in summer. Absolutely loves every last second of this.
I go like that. I got in the car, jumped in, put the keys in. I just hit my cast. Started the car and left. The car door shut itself. God.
She was...
Yeah, the fact that she did this and did not think that anything was wrong with this behavior. I mean, give her some damn Thorazine and stick her in the damn corner. Okay. I mean, can you imagine? And now this, of course, is where the infamous line of this hurt almost as bad as the, and she catches herself, right? Because again, and they talk about this, and we'll talk about this later too when we kind of look more closely at this right here. I wanted to talk about this clip right off the bat because so many people talked about this particular thing, and it's very shocking and it's very sad to see because again, you know, this is her children. That's, you know, she's just killed her children and she's laughing over it and mocking it. And again, she's more concerned about her own pain that she's in. I mean, she shot herself in the arm, you know, and we'll hear her talk about this in later interviews. But to see her just the way she's giggling, flirtatious even, flirtatious with these men. And as we'll learn, this is who DIANE is. This is what she does. She likes, well, gentlemen callers. Okay, we'll leave it at that. She likes the gentlemen callers. The children are in her way, and as we'll learn from her very own mouth, that, you know, she likes what the children do for her, the attention they give her, the love they give her. It's all a very, you know, me thing. And almost like, you know how some people, they love puppies but not dogs, babies but not children. This is an example of this. So let's very quickly see a couple of clips here about like why this took place, who this took place over.
We found diaries where she had written almost daily.
DIANE had fallen in love with a co-worker. His name was Robert Knickerbocker. Everybody called him Nick.
Okay, so again, as we talked about earlier, oftentimes when we see this, think Susan Smith, Diane Downs. This case here particularly, you know, DIANE wanted this guy and he was just like, you know what, look, here's the deal, you know, it ain't happening. And again, with evidence that's come forth and whatnot, and from what he said and all this, these men aren't crazy. They knew she was crazy. They knew she was crazy. He didn't want a relationship with her, you know. And whether he wanted children for himself or his own children or whatever, it doesn't matter. He drew the line in the sand. He was hoping she would just run along, and she flipped out. Imagine what you would have to live with, and not just him, but other people in these situations, where these people end up putting this on your shoulders of, I wiped my family out because you didn't want to be with me because of them or whatever. And I'm not trying to even say it's their fault at all, but you know, just as a human being, you're going to have like this, oh my God, like, oh, I was part of their reasoning for that. Like, that's going to weigh on you, right? But also, it's what's so interesting is in later interviews and stuff, and we'll see this in the Oprah Winfrey things, is how much she tries to deny that she was not a total stalker, right? Like, she tries to play it off like this is normal, and I'm like, oh, girl, I'm talking rabbits on the stove and a pot cooking. So now let's look at a clip of one of her, you know, earlier interviews. Now remember, like I said, when this took place, all of a sudden she starts going on like this PR tour, right? Like trying to proclaim her innocence. going on all these different broadcast and television shows and all that stuff. This is a journalist's dream come true, right? Because as you can see, this is made for TV. This was reality TV before reality TV. When you had nutcases like this who were like going to go out here and do these horrendous crimes and then get on TV and like, number one, lap up the attention, but also try and make themselves look innocent. Oh, people, I mean, this was like, you know, gold for TV, right? So let's see how she tries to play these things off.
We were just out, I guess, sightseeing, I guess you'd say. And the kids got tired. They fell asleep in the car. So I decided to just head on home. But I saw a road I hadn't been on before. We like to take back roads. And just went down that road. And there was a guy standing in the road, flagging me down. So I stopped.
Cannot roll my damn eyes hard enough. And this has been the case for the entire, the question that everybody asks her, and she will just double down and just grind her feet in the damn sand. Who in their right mind, with 3 children in the car, you know, gonna go drive? First of all, the whole thing about, oh, we went sightseeing or whatever, if she had said, you know what, the kids were restless, I put them in the car to go for a ride, that's way more believable, right? I mean, I go driving around, you know, when I'm stressed out, that's like a stress reliever. So there's that. Now, granted, there's all this other context within the evening or whatever, but the whole sightseeing thing, when you sit here and try and tell me that, I don't care if it's a father or a mother, a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. When you have 3 small children in the car and you see a bushy-haired stranger on the side of the damn road flagging you down and you decide it's a good idea to stop, number 1, okay? With 3 small children in the car, number 2, you then decide it's a good idea to get out of the car. Are you crazy? Like, that's so obviously a lie, or you're like incredibly stupid, right? I'm just, and then the way she tries to play it off like this is like normal, and I'm like, again, I'm just like, why would you even try? Like, why would you even try and lie about that? Like, come up with something better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so obviously a horrifically stupid lie that most anyone's gonna go, what? But nope, she's gonna double down on that one.
Christy woke up, and as I say, she may be the only one to get me out of this. Would I have brought her to the hospital? Wouldn't she be the one that I would make sure is dead? There are too many holes in it.
Look at how angry Diane gets, and like how she's thought about this, be like, well, wouldn't I have made sure of this and that and the other? You know, she's cussing herself. Now, what she wasn't planning on, and what she wasn't thinking of in these early interviews, is that somebody had gotten behind her when she was going 5 miles an hour. Now, of course, she'll come up with many a story for this. This is what people like her do. And of course, we'll also learn that, you know, the nurses would say when Diane would go see Christy in the hospital that her numbers would go off the chart. Like, her body, her poor little broken body at that point was just completely stressed knowing that her mother was in the room. Can you imagine going through that? You can't speak, you're on all these machines, but you know your mother's in there. You know she tried to kill you and she's coming in there. The absolute terror that you would feel. Oh my God. I can't imagine. Can't imagine.
Danny's going to walk again. I don't care if we just have to will him to walk. I think he's going to walk. The doctors all say he won't. But I know that your mind controls your body, and if I can love him enough and encourage him enough, I believe he'll walk.
I mean, y'all, this is the woman who just shot him. And again, if she can get the attention from this now, like, okay, this is where we're getting the attention from. It's going to be a miracle. I mean, it's frightening. But also, I mean, I can't. I mean, my brain just broke for a second. I literally was like, I shut down over the whole thing. I have so many thoughts that go through my mind. I'm just like, number 1, who gets on TV and goes through this? Number 2, you just shot your child. He is now paralyzed because of you. Now you're going to go in there and try and lap up the attention about it's going to be a miracle. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. Make it make sense.
When this man shot my daughter, my first reaction was to snap back to my childhood, to the pain that had happened to me back then, my marriage, my entrapment by society. This man was bigger than me. He was stronger than me. He had more power because he had a gun. And I stood there and I looked at Christy reaching, and the blood that just kept gushing out of her mouth. What do you do?
Okay, y'all. Y'all, this is, okay. First of all, There's so much to unpack here. Y'all know I'm not some damn psychologist, right? But it doesn't take a psychologist to certify this one, y'all. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the obvious. Like, whether you call it duper's delight or just straight up she starts laughing when she talks about all the blood coming from Christy's mouth, right? I mean, she gets joy out of this thought, right? And the joy out of, imagine it, she's looking at it, she's visually seeing it, you could tell in her eyes like she's reliving this, right? And she's laughing at it. Okay, so there's that. But then the thought of when he shot my daughter, I immediately went back to my pain. That is how self-centered she is, and that's what's so shocking to hear, where I'm just like, I mean, so this is what I think of with her. Like, you know how, like, when you think of, like, a lot of people will have a different, like, thing that when you think of your mom or your dad, but in this case we're talking about mothers, you know, that's like, it makes your mom, you know. Okay, so one thing that I think of that I used to do, it's like for my mom, is she would, like, I like the way my mom stirred chocolate milk. Like, Dad couldn't stir the chocolate milk the same way that Mom could. Now, of course, I probably did the same, but it's like, you know, Mom did it best, right? And I'm thinking, like, with her, I'm like, she probably didn't know how to stir the chocolate milk. There's probably nothing like that with her children. She was probably just this cold, horrible person, right? So there's that, because I'm just like, what a vapid human being. Why would you even say something like that? I mean, there's just absolutely nothing there. No soul, no nothing.
Everybody says you sure were lucky. Well, I don't feel very lucky. I couldn't tie my damn shoes for about 2 months. It is very painful. It is still painful. The scar is going to be there forever. I'm going to remember that night for the rest of my life, whether I want to or not. I don't think I was very lucky. I think my kids were lucky. If I had been shot the way they were, we all would have died.
That one always takes it, you know, in the interview, and she said in times where she was just sitting there mortified. I mean, again, I mean, why would you go on TV and think that this would work for your case? This, again, is like the level of narcissism, and I mean, I guess that's what she has. I mean, because I think this goes off the charts with that, right? I don't know. If y'all have watched, like, all these, like, behavior channels that have done her and, like, you know, analyze her, what are they saying? Drop it in the comments. Because this is off the damn charts. Who gets on there and says, I'm the unfortunate one? She got shot in the damn arm. Then she did her damn self. She's going to sit here and try and tell us that she's got it worse than her kids and that her kids were lucky. Mind you, one of them died. The other two lived. One paralyzed, waist down. Christy, stroked, you know, out. Had to, you know, psychology stuff, all this stuff, right? Diane's going to talk about how unlucky she is because of the pain she's gone through. She couldn't tie her shoe. I mean, and again, the part that fascinates me is, how does she think getting up on television or even voicing these thoughts out loud makes her look like the not guilty party? Answer me that. Riddle me that.
I went down to the sheriff's office and said, please arrest me so that I can prove I'm innocent so my kids can come home, and they wouldn't.
Now, I don't know where in the damn timeline this was, but y'all, she got a hold of her damn eyebrows. Woo! I mean, I'm talking, that's where the issues started coming through right there. I know that sounds petty, but like, you can tell, like, at different times of this where it's like she was having something going on, and it's almost like she was, like, obsessively plucking her eyebrows or something, because I'm like, girl, like, what happened? But I mean, I would be too if I was her. But aside from the eyebrows, enough about that. The confidence, if I could have that confidence, because also what's shocking about it is that we know she's lying, we know she's guilty, we know she's done all this stuff, whatever, but the way she can dig her heels in, and it's like, I went down there, arrest me, you know, that level of that, when it's like, well, my God, I mean, you know you did this, but that does not faze her one bit. Now, if that doesn't sum it up for you and all that, let's hear a clip from her own father, what he has to say about his opinion about his daughter's guilt or innocence.
I made the comment, it looks to me like Diane did it, because the children have been shot in the chest and Diane has only been shot in the arm.
Yeah, that's not good, okay? When your own father or mother or family, whatever, they're saying this in the beginning, because, I mean, it doesn't take a brain scientist, a rocket scientist, whatever you want to call it, a brain scientist. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, this is bad, okay? This is really, really bad, right? This was not going to go unsolved for very long at all. Now, another sad, tragic, and disgusting aspect of DIANE is her outlook on children, and honestly, I view it like how disposable they are to her, and again, how they fulfill something in her and not the other way around. So remember, during this whole ordeal, she gets pregnant again. She remember she had the postal route, so she just randomly goes to some dude on the postal route and manipulates him into a scenario and gets knocked up, right? And can you imagine being him and being like, oh my god, I just fathered DIANE Downs' child? Now, I feel like it's unfortunate for her child in the sense, who is now obviously grown, gone on, to have to come back and kind of piece together life with this enigma, this woman DIANE Downs, and knowing this and going back and looking at things like this and hearing, you know, oh, children are this way, and you know, but they can replace this in your life, and you know, that kind of a thing. Not only that, I mean, any of her children haven't heard this, right? But let's go ahead and listen to this clip now.
I got pregnant because I miss Christy, and I miss Danny, and I miss Cheryl so much. I'm never going to see Cheryl on Earth again.
So, yeah. So here she is. She's just tried to kill them, but now she's telling everyone, well, I went and got pregnant because of this. Now, to probably a lot of us, it would look like, well, number one, I definitely do think that there's obviously psychological issues in the way of that kind of companionship, wanting a child, that type thing, but also probably the optics of it, right? Sympathy, these kind of things. She strikes me as the type person that would perpetually have children, continually, to get that kind of attention. And then the second that they become a real thing with, you know, needs and, you know, being a child, a baby, all that, that's when it becomes an issue. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
You can't replace children, but you can replace the effect that they give you. And they give me love, they give me satisfaction, they give me stability, they give me a reason to live and a reason to be happy, and that's gone. They took it from me. But children are so easy to conceive.
I mean, again, can you imagine? Can you imagine hearing this? And this is the part that breaks my heart for her children that survived. You know, obviously the child that she conceived that didn't go through that evening, is to hear this and be like, my god, my mother is saying this, right? Because this is such an, obviously an unbalanced way of looking at children. You know, it's just like, oh, whoa. You know, you can't replace that, but they're so easy to conceive. She talks about them like they're tissue paper. You know, I mean, just aplenty, right? And it's absolutely absurd. And again, the interviewer's like talking about in the show, looking back on this perspective and just kind of being like, I didn't know what to say. And you know, I remember one part that she did say, she was like, you know, I wanted to cry, and never did DIANE ever shed one tear during this entire conversation about this horrific evening, allegedly. So that brings us to the little Oprah special. Now, like I told you, I had not seen this before, and so what we're going to start doing is we're going to start looking at some of the clips of that show. We'll see how many we get through for this particular video, because there's literally so many, y'all. And again, if it's one of these things where you really like the style or whatever, just let me know in the comment sections, because we can do another one of these. I'm not sure where in the editing process this will be in the video, but it's already, as far as recording going, getting to be a pretty long one. So this probably will be a part 2 at this point, but nonetheless, let's keep going.
DIANE Downs was 9 months pregnant when she was convicted on 1 count of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder. This July...
Now notice how she's coming out of there like damn Farrah Flawless, or Farrah Flawless, Farrah Fawcett. You know, I'm naming drag queen names, y'all. It's kind of late for me. It's 10:30. Farrah Fawcett. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not giving trying to say name again. But coming out there with her hair all swooped back like that, like, I don't know what just happened. It's like, you know what just happened? You took your children out and you just got convicted of it, and then you went out and got pregnant and escaped and crazy stuff. So anyways, this is where Oprah Winfrey, Miss Oprah, is interviewing, first of all, Ann Rule, She, you know, wrote the book on DIANE and wrote a book on DIANE, and they have DIANE on the show too. And I'm just like, why would, you know, they had to have done something like put $20 in her commentary or something, because why else would you go on the show? You know you're going to get ripped up. But again, she was probably thinking she's going to clear her name. So Oprah will start off with the infamous question of, tell us what happened, right? And so let's go ahead and hear what DIANE has to say. Now also, side note, can we just make note of the shoulder pad era, right? I was like watching this and I was like, woo, I have forgotten about this whole segment in time.
The night of May 19th, 1983, my children and I went to see a friend to take her a newspaper clip. On the way home, a stranger was in the road. I stopped because he was flagging me, and I thought he was in trouble, or thought that he was hurt.
Okay, so notice she's still going with the story. Now, this is what I'm talking about, where she's had all this time to come up and connect the dots. She has somebody sitting there who sat through the whole damn court case, right? Now, some of this she's going to have to continue on with, but this is a part of the story that, even though she did change it multiple times, and I mean, the other versions she came up with were so bad, but it's like, this should have gotten changed at the very beginning to something completely different, because it's completely implausible.
When I stopped, he approached the car, and by the time I got out of the car, he was standing beside the car, and he assaulted us. He asked for my car.
And what else did she think he was going to ask for, like a damn Girl Scout cookie order? I mean, what do you think is going to happen at this hour at night on a dark backwoods road with a bushy-haired stranger waving you down? I mean, come on.
And I made a smart remark, and perhaps I shouldn't have.
What smart remark? What'd you say?
Well, he said he wanted my car, and I said, you've got to be kidding. That's crazy. You just don't do that.
No, what's crazy and what you've got to be kidding is you don't stop with your 3 children in the car to even talk to the man, right? It doesn't even make sense.
And so he assaulted me and my children. And from that point, I took the kids to the hospital.
Assaulted is a very...
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying
it's a mild
he shot
term
us.
for what happened.
Right, very mild, but I suppose you'd have to see things from my point of view. It's a very difficult thing. I very, very rarely talk about what happened that night because it is so painful.
I know, I can imagine that it...
Okay, again, right off the bat, y'all, she hasn't even been on the damn show 5 minutes, and it's turned around to, it's so painful, my point of view, I mean, this is a human being that it is incapable of her to see anything outside of, like, her own... this right here. I mean, this is all the world to her, right? And that's all there is, and that's why none of this looks crazy to her, right? And none of it ever will look crazy to her because of this very reason. Now, of course, a huge thing in this is going to be, what does DIANE think about Anne? You know, because this is one of these things where I would love to hear this from more of situations like this, where, you know, there's been an infamous, you know, case or whatever, like, what do they think about the person that wrote the book on them? Well, we get to DIANE actually is one of the few that, like, is going to put herself in the situation to have the conversation. Let's hear what she has to say. Roll the damn tape.
Well, she considers it a true story, and she's quoted me all through the book and tells the reader how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking at various times all through the book. Yet she's never interviewed me.
Well, these are some big claims that she makes, and let's see what Miss Anne has to say about those.
I'm sure you remember my coming to jail and interviewing you.
June 26th.
20 minutes. 20 minutes, Anne.
Now, notice this. So this is one thing that she'll do throughout this, right? Is DIANE will say something to the effect of like this, like, she never interviewed me, and then she'll get corrected and be like, 20 minutes. So it's like a technicality, like a... you know, okay, well, that doesn't count because of, you know, whatever. But she bends the truth to suit whatever she's trying to sell.
And I also sat in the courtroom while you testified for 4 days and told your entire life.
And again, all this stuff that she got from that right there, I mean, this is huge. And people, someone like, well, I should say, someone like DIANE, this doesn't suit her well because, again, and like she said, she sat in there, she got all this information from DIANE's mouth. She based this on there. Now, obviously, Anne talked to other people, did this kind of stuff, whatever. But time and time again during this, we'll hear DIANE trying to shoot this down. Now, I get, look, everyone lives their own life, and there's no way Anne didn't walk in her footsteps from day one, right? God help us if she had, or anybody else for that matter, right? But nonetheless, you just see DIANE's craziness because she's also just like, you know, acting like Anne has just made all this stuff up, like she just pulled it out of her butt or something. And it's like, you know, did you not get the memo? Like, your entire life was put out there in a major trial, right? I mean, this is not a secret, okay? Now, one of the big things in this interview is Oprah will point blank say, how do you get around the fact that your own daughter testified against you and said, Mom shot us? And this is major, right? Let's hear how she gets around this one.
I think that is probably the biggest atrocity in this whole entire case, because Christy, another thing that Anne doesn't explain to you is that Christy was under the influence of massive amounts of drugs while she was in intensive care, including Dilantin. One of the side effects of Dilantin is mental confusion and memory loss. She was interrogated 18 times while she was in intensive care with tubes running through her body.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate all the looks on the audience and Anne's faces for this? Because they're all looking exactly like we're like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, honestly, like, if you called her up today and said, did your mom shoot you? She would probably be like, yeah, 100%. And like, please hang up, right?
How do you know that? How do you know that? Were you there?
They're in the hospital reports. They're in the hospital reports. And every time that Christy stated, when they asked her, what happened to you? And Christy said, I don't know, or I don't remember. They said, you're lying, Christy. You're lying to protect your mom.
Now, we have heard of situations like that, this obviously, like with cops roughing people up, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. And what I think is interesting is I do think that DIANE has probably read some of this or whatever and completely twisted it around to suit her needs. I also think that DIANE has stretched the truth, right? I mean, even if the cops said this kind of stuff, because it's my understanding that Christy, it took a long time to get her to talk, right? And to get her to come forth, and they had to do this whole thing with, you know, folding up a piece of paper and putting it in the fire, like, who did this, and yada, yada, yada. A long time of kind of coaxing this information out of her, you know, because she was scared to even talk about it. And so, you know, when they finally got to it, and of course you can't blame her, she's a child, she doesn't know, right? I mean, this is your own mother that did this to you. But just seeing how DIANE has taken this time of being incarcerated to pick apart every last little detail of that police report with a story for every last little line, it doesn't blow my mind, but it blows my mind, because at this point with her, you know, nothing's really that shocking.
I can relate to what happened to Christy because I know what happened to me. She was given, ultimatums, basically. Her attorney came to her the very day that she wrote down, Mom did this. They had been working on her for 7 months, and every time she said, Mom didn't do this, Mom is not mean, Mom loves us, they would say, no, you're just being protective. It's in the notes.
Again, fascinating how confident she is, fascinating how quick this runs off her tongue. I mean, it just amazes me. And again, I cannot imagine what she put these children through when they were in her custody, before all this went down.
And so, how do you explain the fact that you were traveling 5 miles an hour after your children were shot?
Now, Oprah damn near knocked me off the sofa with that question. I mean, she's going up with the damn hard-hitting questions in this interview. She came with a notepad and taking damn names on this one.
Well, first of all, I'm extremely thankful for Joseph Inman coming in and giving the information that he did, because the police weren't even believing that I was out in that area, and he was able to put me exactly where the shooting happened, and he was the state's witness.
Notice how slippery she is with that. I mean, just came in with that, took the question over, right? Took it over. Well, thank God he was there. He put me out there. They didn't even believe I was there. I mean, remember, she has nothing but time on her damn hands. She has gone through here and come up with this and fine-tuned it. And again, this is what she's done. She has convinced herself that sounds normal. And it's like, you're trying to convince somebody that was normal for you to be driving that slow with children in the car. But she has an excuse for this, and let's hear what it is.
I was also trying to open the window on the passenger side because my left arm was of no use. And all these various things that were happening inside the car, putting the towel on my arm at some point, obviously, before I got to the stop sign where I realized that it was on. And I am assuming that that's why I was going so slow. I can tell you, though, that from the point that Mr. Inman saw me until I reached the hospital took 10 minutes to get there, and it took the detectives 15 minutes to drive that same route. So obviously I could not have been driving 5 miles an hour for very long.
I mean, Y'all, if you need somebody to make your damn resume, I mean, this is who you get to write it right here. I mean, she can sell ice to a damn Eskimo. Look at the people in the audience. I mean, they're just like, it's the same as me. This is when I watched this and I was listening to her, I was like, she's still crazy. But I mean, just how fast she speaks. Like, it's almost like I bet she talks to herself this way, like where it's like, but I can tell you this and da 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 da. It's so fascinating to me. I mean, this is somebody who is just gone, right? I mean, gone.
We were always out on dark roads, light roads, city roads, country roads. I was a single woman. I had been divorced for a couple of years, and quite frankly, I got pretty used to driving by myself with the kids.
So late at night, 9.
That's something that nobody's going to be able to walk away from, that whole thing, because it's bizarre and it didn't happen, number one, right? It's like probably something she didn't really do. But we know why she did it. She's never going to be able to excuse that away, right? We get it. But nonetheless, it's still interesting to watch her try and excuse it away.
Well, I'd picked up many hitchhikers before. This man was not a hitchhiker, but I had picked up hitchhikers before, and nobody ever shot us before. And quite frankly, nobody had ever been, no strange man had ever treated me or my children in such a way, and I just had no preconceived notion that he might do those things.
Now, what's interesting is how with this, she acts like almost like we're the crazy ones for thinking that she was crazy for doing this, right? You know what I'm saying? Because remember, at one point in time, picking up a hitchhiker was not a big deal. When I was growing up, which remember I was like a teenager in the 90s, I mean, I've never picked up a hitchhiker, right? I was always taught that it's dangerous, you don't do that, that kind of a thing. So it's like before my time, but probably when my parents were teenagers, that was like more of like an acceptable type thing. So I mean, to me, it is very weird to think like you would just stop and pick a stranger up on the road, right? Like, because to me in my whole lifetime, that's been like, you just, oh my God, you never do that. So again, now obviously this crime happened like many moons ago. It wasn't recent or anything, but nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that she sits here and tries to talk like, oh, well, we've done this before and no one's ever tried to hurt me and my kids and da 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 da. And I'm just like, you know, please, like, this is insane. You know, I mean, it's just, again, you just have to go with logic in so many situations. And if you poll the damn audience, I can almost assure you that most of them, especially if you're talking to women, if women in the scenario, and again, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, it's just women. Even a man on a dirt road, on a back road with your 3 children in a car, you're not going to stop and get out of the car to help a stranger who's waving you down. You're just not going to do it, right? Especially now, if it was some little old lady, okay, maybe so, right? Maybe like, but even then so. I mean, again, the times are different. You don't have cell phones, but, you know, it's just, it is not this common. And so the story she's telling, it's just preposterous from the word go. Now, here's the thing. So as this keeps going on and on, let me tell you what, she gets damn feisty with Miss Ann, right? And so let's hear a couple of her little remarks that she has to clap back at Miss Ann over.
And told in the courtroom.
Oh, geez, it's in the transcript, Ann. I have
Diane,
the transcript.
what happens in the courtroom is in the transcript. I have the transcripts, true. I was there.
No, you don't have the transcript. That's what you believe, Ann. That's not what I believe. This whole book is full of what you believe, not what I believe.
Now, this part I found interesting because she's like convinced of this. Now, again, with it, so my opinion is Diane would probably lie about anything and everything because she obviously does. This is proven. And so, like the transcript that she's going on about, no, you don't have the transcript. She's going on about some damn transcript that she's going to send her and this, that, and the other, and da da da. And you know, and Anne's saying, well, you've said that you were going to do it, but you've never sent it. Diane's the type that would lie on TV to save face, but knowing she'll full well never really send something, right? But she would just be an opportunistic liar to try and sell her own story. Now let's hear what she has to say about her obsession with the man who she allegedly did this over.
No, I don't think I've ever been obsessed with a man in my life. There are too many men in the world, quite frankly.
Yeah. And she has chased quite a few of them, right? I believe her she might not have been obsessed with just one because she was so obsessed with so many of them. But I don't believe that she was not obsessed with this one, right? There is definitely a lot going on in those letters to him. I mean, for God's sake, she was writing to him every day. I mean, Jesus, can you imagine? Okay, now let's listen to what she says when Oprah asks her about pregnancy, being a surrogate mother, all this kind of stuff, because it is very interesting, and be on the lookout for, again, how she turns everything back around to herself.
A child for somebody,
yes.
And tried several other times to be impregnated.
Yes.
Okay. Explain that.
I've been pregnant 5 times. And I'm going to include the surrogate thing in this, so don't try and rush me back, because you asked 2 questions and I'd like to address both of them.
Woo, let me tell you what. You know, Miss Oprah was ready to come to the damn television over that one. She was going to tell Oprah how things were going to go on her damn TV show. Right then and there, I was like, woo, my goodness. I was like, going to tell Miss Oprah how to run her own damn TV show. Okay, let's keep going.
I've been pregnant 5 times. With my very first child, Christy was a baby that liked to stretch out. She separated my ribs. Every time I get pregnant, it is an excruciating experience that nobody would normally want to go through that kind of thing, knowing that it's going to be as painful as it is for at least the last 5 months.
Again, the martyr, I mean, get down off the cross. We need the wood for the fire. I mean, come on, honey. I mean, it's just... I cannot with her. And it's completely normal to her else she wouldn't be up here piping this off. And that's what people like this do. Everything is pivoted to make them look like a victim. Everything is pivoted to make them the center of attention. Whether it's negative, good, bad, or whatever, it doesn't matter to them.
I love children. The reason that I became a surrogate was because there I saw a program in which a woman was told over and over and over by doctors that she could not have children, and I knew what it was like to be told that you can't have a child, which is why Daniel was conceived. My husband kept saying, you can't have a baby, and I did it anyway. And this was my way of helping somebody else have a child that they really, really wanted and wanted to love.
There is so much in there, and again, she just she doesn't make anything better for herself. She just keeps going further down the rabbit hole in this interview and all of her interviews, right? She does not paint a good picture of herself. But on one hand, I feel like you say, you know, she's wearing a facade, but then I feel like the facade is absolute crazy. So she doesn't do herself any favors, like I said. So here's what we're going to do, because this video is going to become one of those really long ones. If you are liking this, if you want me to continue, we will continue going down this rabbit hole. If you're like, no, you know what? This was just enough of the DIANE downs from you, Paul. We don't need no more of it. I'm fine with that. We can abide by that. We can move on comfortably. So let me know down in the comments. Now, I forgot to say earlier too, if you're still watching, drop some sofa emojis. Drop some little footprints down there for Roscoe, little paw prints, I should say. Show him a little bit of love. And then, as always, drop some hearts and show some love down in the comments for the victims. In this case, her children. God knows well she's victimized, but also all the victims of these monsters that we talk about here at the Sofa Squad. So that's it. Also, don't forget to check out Fuzzy. Remember, all their stuff is down in the description below. Thank you so much for being here if you're still watching, and if you're not watching, know that I'm sending vibes, and I'm glad you came by and checked my video out. Anyways, I love you, Sofa Squad. Thank you for hanging out and talking about this nightmare of a mother. And until we meet back at this sofa and this computer with this dog and me, well, I'll see y'all soon.